18 plus. I'm going to give that just in case I go off the record and the lines. This is a Dear CBC News and Danielle Smith and the corruption of universal healthcare. My father, tonight, we had a long talk. I'm going to be very, very calm, attempting to be calm. My daughter, faced with implants, one frontal implant, a secondary cap, is faced with $30,000 Alberta government health care and private health care. Alberta. Did you know if I go to the United States of America in USD, it's less than $10,000. If I left the government universal system in Alberta, it's less than $10,000. But apparently, under the thief, like Doug Ford, Danielle Smith, the taxpayers of Alberta must pay for my daughter $18,000, and I have to come up with $12,000 for procedures that are under, in the American system, private, $10,000 USD. So you can say, okay, Dave, on your own, you're going to pay the same in USD. However, if you want universal health care in the province of Alberta from a doctor who's responsible for the reason my daughter is the way she is, because the CDC red flagged it, the Canadian CDC red flagged it, meaning my ex-wife was not supposed to be prescribed those drugs. Everybody, every Canadian. And Americans, if you're watching, you're allowed to sue when there is drug advisory that says, hey, if you're pregnant, you can't be on this drug. That advisory was in US and Canada for 6 months. My daughter, sadly, like many American families and like many Canadian families, went through it. The doctor, the incompetent, non-speaking English first language doctor, imported from a third world country, given status here, who lives in a multi-million-dollar home in Edmonton. I drive by it sometimes. I think, wow, your life is great. I'm tits up, and your life is great. And every American, this is the difference here, everybody. Every American was in a class action lawsuit. They all got paid out, all their children, at least the females. All the boys died. This is really X and Y chromosome specific. If you had a son, your boy wouldn't live a year being prescribed that drug. They'd be born, they would have health problems to a magnitude, the heart would be shot. The females, it didn't affect the heart, but it affected facial disposition, completely wipe out bottom and top anatomy, jaws, and 5 other horrendous things for girls. So my daughter, out of 6 of them, she got 5. They're very expensive. And I started initially when she was born, okay, don't worry, the government of Canada We're going to pay for all of it, the province of Alberta. We're going to cover all of it. Don't you worry. And then you're made to feel guilty. There's something wrong with your genetics. Alberta Healthcare is smashing me. Don't know any of the truth. And it was actually at Suncor up in Fort McMurray. I'm sitting there when the Americans were mostly invested. And I'm sitting there in training. It was 2007. I'll never forget this day. Boom on the news. Dun, 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 dun. My name's lawyer, blah, blah, blah. And we're doing a multi-$170 million lawsuit, USD, for over 50,000 families. Did your family get prescribed this drug? Nada, nada, nada. And guess what? Canada. Oh, wait a minute. That's exactly what my ex-wife was on. Did your child get born this as a female? Did your boy die horrendously within the first year over this? And I checked mark 5 out of 6 of those and the drug. And my daughter, as a fetus, was put through that for 6 months in Canada. And every doctor looked at that, and everybody told me after, and I went nuts. I went nuts in 2007. I went AWOL on the ministry in Alberta. And I was promised everything's going to be looked after, and it hasn't been that way. In fact, taxpayers have been raped beyond all measure, as I've been liquidated and raped beyond all measure. And I look at it and I go, but the U.S. private system wouldn't charge this rate. The Canadian private system wouldn't charge this rate. But the Alberta Health Services now charges this rate. They take this much from taxpayers. I can't even show it to you. And then they take a little extra off the top from me too. And I'm going, and I blew a nut last week. I almost went rape shit. I almost did. I almost thought, you know what, get a baseball bat and just knock that fucking skull right off the neck. That's how mad you get. Not only are Alberta taxpayers raped, and I'm raped beyond all measure, way over what everybody says, and the private's laughing, the Alberta government's laughing as they rape all taxpayers, and then they take an extra kick off of me every fucking time. Like I can't read, or I can't research, or I can't go the world over. Wrong guy to fuck with, right? And it's just like physically I'm capable of just taking a baseball bat and smashing someone's head right clean off their shoulder. Take an axe, whack the fucking head right off the shoulders. And I hate to make this video, but I'm so angry. The last post I got and the corruption of Danielle Smith, who I just want to rip her fucking head off. I really do. Because I've been put through hell for 18 years, ruined my whole life. Vast sums of money gone, vast more sums of money I'm going to come up with. And I'm sitting there going, why am I in your fucking program that is 3 times the cost of anywhere else in North America if I just walked away from the government? Which literally, I want to, but guess what, everybody? The work's already been done, and you can't get out because you know what the Alberta government does? You can't leave this program. Nobody else will operate on your daughter. We locked you in, asshole. We've locked you and taxpayers in, you stupid, miserable pieces of shit. And they're making millions. Millions. And you know what? America would have graciously taken that bill and said, I'm sorry, like every other American family. We're sorry. That doctor fucked up. That doctor lost their license. They got sued. The state got sued for all the doctors, actually 4 states, and they had to pay. They had to pay. And that is the right way to do things. You hold people on the individual level to account. You don't, as the government, exploit it and start driving you and your friends loaded with money on that. I am one of literally thousands and thousands of Canadian families who are going through that, been destroyed. And we're all waking up to that today. I'm not alone. There's thousands of us. The sad part is, in 2007, concluded in 2011, there aren't any American families going through what all of us thousands of Canadian families are. And then there was a lot. There was over 67,000 families in that class action lawsuit that grew to the hundreds of millions of dollars. All of their kids, at least the daughters, nobody can save the boys, but the girls are all made as close to whole as possible, and all the families are largely still together, the family unit. Mine got crushed, destroyed lives, destroyed everybody, and it's still going. Do you know how many families in Alberta I'm destroying just by being roped in to a government program I can't get out of? Because there's nobody who will take over my daughter after all the substantial work that's been done. And I couldn't go into a private American system, let alone Mexico, but America. I couldn't even go into that program because the Alberta government has locked me in their private system with their private people. This is very personable. It sucks to do it, but I'm just letting everyone know that 3 times any private sector in Canada outside of the government of Alberta or the United States of America less than what the government program is, and they're chipping at me another 25% over and above every stage of it. That's the rotten cunt called Danielle Smith, who really deserves in this government, worse than everyone, even though it's been an uptick, deserves a baseball bat across the skull. Literally. Not saying I'm going to do that. I'm just saying if you were any person deserving, it's Danielle Smith, and the absolute corruption of universal health care beyond all measure. Not only raping all taxpayers in Alberta on my daughter, on that travesty. And that doctor went on, has a great life, lives on Saskatchewan Drive, Edmonton. Like I said, drive by her multi-million-dollar house. And you destroyed lives because you couldn't even fucking read. And people tell me about Alberta doctors, Canadian doctors will tell you. I'll tell you. Canada is garbage. Garbage. From the Medical Association, absolutely through all provincial medical associations. Garbage. It's turned into a rape, pillage, and plunder of the working class at the absolute detriment of Canadian peoples, for the glory and wealth expansion of the governments and all of their loyalist friends. And they're laughing at you. Trump sent this. He looked at my universal health care. He doesn't understand the corruption of Canada, doesn't understand the mass immigration. He does, but he doesn't. And maybe that's his New York. And maybe it's just being American and not understanding that kind of evil. But it's here and present. And what I read today, just now, a share, as I'm going through posts, is so unbelievably evil. Evil, and I'm sure it's across Canada. It's thousands of families. I know that to be true. I knew that to be true in 2007 as I went to the furthest extremes on research on this. And all I've watched is costs skyrocket. And then I got the American system saying, see, they're fucking you hard, right as hard as you can. Look what they're doing to your taxpayers. Look what they're doing to you. Many times what our private system would offer. And if you were employed in the United States, if you were in Missouri right now today, in the Boilermakers, same union, but on the American side, your daughter would have been paid out, man. You would have everything you don't have in Canada out of pocket. Beyond all measure. Your family would probably be intact. Your wife would be enjoying the pool. You'd be enjoying the hot tub in the colder months. That's how sick and deranged of a country we are. I make this video and I'm not afraid or scared or retribution from the government. You're on notice because USA knows. Danielle Smith. Everyone knows. CBC. Everyone knows. Everyone knows. They've known since 2007. At least on the United States side of the equation. And at some point, you're all going to pay for your crimes. You will. You don't see it today, and you make us all suffer. You make us suffer. You destroy everything we ever built as a peoples as best we could in your crummy fuck system. And the very little to littlest amount of decent politicians who clearly no longer live in Canada. These people are not Christian. They believe themselves gods. And the day is coming when they're going to be dead. Dead, 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 hung by the neck till they're dead. Or they're going to burn in hell. Either way. And people would say, you're off the charts, you're crazy, da-da-da-da. I'm not crazy on this. I'm not crazy on anything. And the reality is there. As I was told in 2007, as I've watched all those American families and their successes, and I'm sitting here going, what in the hell am I in now today? Literally everybody, over $32,000. $18,000 from you taxpayers in Alberta paid for my daughter, and I had to come up with the rest. I had to come up with the rest for a procedure that would cost $10,000 in the private sector in the United States of America, way better service, or in the Canadian private sector if I wasn't registered in the government programs. The government is the single largest source of rape of me, my family, and absolutely taxpayers that I've ever known. And there's no escape because the work was started years ago, continues on, and you can't leave because that's what the Alberta government assigned you, and nobody else is going to take over. Too late. Can you believe that? Can you believe it? That's the reality I live right now today. And I'm reading on what Danielle Smith's promoting and expanding. Her theft, another fat-ass Doug Ford, another crazy narcissist Tim Houston, a Scott Moe, a David Eby, a Wab Kiinu, and we can go on and on and on and on in Canada. Disgusting, gross, dehumanizing, the biggest corruption and epitome of mankind in Canada. Not even remotely comparable in the broken American centralized system, because at least they have a functioning private healthcare system. So sad. So sad. These people deserve to burn in the fires of fucking hell. That's my 18 plus. Share it. Because if you're Albertan, you're on the hook for a mass amount. And I'm liquidated a mass amount. Literally 3.5 times more than any private sector Canada or any private sector USA. Think about that. Pretty sick, deranged, and lunatic. And I can't exit off. There's no exit ramp. You've already been assigned the government solution from the province of Alberta under current Premier Danielle Smith. You know what goes through my head every day, and I've been really quiet about this, but you already know. Just take it right off. That's my video. God bless. Share. Bye now.